Hey everyone, welcome to Stitching Tales, a podcast about all things sewing and what it's really like to run a sewing business. I am Johanna Lundström of The Last Stitch.
And I am Malena Järpe of Hazel Henna Patterns.
And today's episode is dedicated to ourselves.
Yes, let's talk about us, me, myself and I.
Yes.
No, but it's been a while since of course we always mention our history and who we are and what we do. But it was a long time ago since we actually had a proper introduction of ourselves. Yeah. And maybe we have some new listeners who don't want to go back and listen to the first episodes. So we thought that now we are on episode 90-something. It's time to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a really good idea. And also, we do get lots of new listeners. Our podcast is actually growing, believe it or not. But yes, so I think a lot of you maybe are coming in right now and you're wondering, who are these two that keep on talking about sewing? Why? Why do they do that? And what's their background and all the things that you might be curious about us. And also, where is that? Why do you have this unusual accent? Maybe you're curious about that too, because we don't always mention where we're from and why our English is a little bit different than a lot of other people's English.
Yeah. Fingers crossed it's not too annoying, our accent. We don't talk like a Swedish person, really. Hopefully we have managed a little bit more. I don't know. You be the judge of that. But yeah. Let's. I'm gonna take the journalist hat and ask Johanna. So, what's your background? You as a journalist?
Yes, I am a journalist, and I've had so many careers. I am not in my 20s anymore. Let's just say that. So, for first, when we're recording this year, I turned 54, which is when I start talking now. You can, it's gonna be a long. I will try to keep it relatively brief, but yes, I have a long road that kind of leads to why I'm here today, I guess you could say. So, I am born in Sweden. And from a very early age, I began sewing. I think I sewed my own first garment when I was 11 years old, and I haven't really stopped sewing since then. I'm mostly self-taught when it comes to sewing, but I have taken classes in things like pattern making and textile science and fashion drawing. So I do have some education in this area, but my background is actually in information and communication. So I began by studying as a librarian, so that's everyone's dream job except mine. So I stopped working as a librarian after a few years because I didn't really enjoy it. And then I decided to do what I had always dreamt about, and that was to become a journalist. So I retrained. I went to school again in my early 30s, got a journalist degree, and began working in this incredibly lucrative and future-proof industry that is media. Steady job. Yes, great career choice for a single mother with 2 kids. Absolutely amazing. I was rolling in money and opportunities. No, unfortunately not. But yeah. I worked as a journalist for about 15 years, mostly covering local news, but I also worked in digital media. I was a web reporter in the early aughts, and then because you can't live on a journalist salary here in Sweden, at least if you work in a small newspaper, I switched careers again. And then I became a communication officer, which means that I have helped organizations to run their communication. It can be everything from writing press releases to updating the website, doing graphic designs, working on communication strategies. It's high, low, and also like public, like memberships, magazines. So I have a background in that as well, to design magazine pages. So all those things is my pretty long background, and since and I started the current version of the Last Stitch, the company that I run, the sewing company. I started the blog in 2008, but this current ideation of the company is from 2015. So it's 10 years now, a little bit over 10 years. And I finally quit my day job a couple of months ago. So now I'm doing this full time, which I have done in bits here and there, but now I am really, trying to make this work properly. So it's been a long journey creating this brand that I have. And if you're not familiar with what I do, I publish sewing books. I have done fourth sewing activewear, mastered the cover stitch machine, sewing jeans, and our mutual book, Fit for Knits. And we're also working on an upcoming book, To a T. And I've also done lots and lots of YouTube videos, I think over 200. So I even have a silver play button, which you can listen to a podcast episode where I'm sitting and waiting to get that home delivered. And of course I also release sewing patterns as well. Not as many as I would love to do, but again, time, right? It's pretty tricky to find all the things. But what I love about this job, running The Last Stitch, is that I'm able to combine all the skills that I have, everything from sewing to graphic design to writing, communication, social media, video editing. I actually really enjoy almost all the stuff except, honestly, social media, but I do it because that's where you have to be, right? So for me, I feel like this is basically where I'm able to utilize all the things that I've learned in my 5+ decades of being on this earth. So I love this job.
But it's such a good way of using your skill sets in the best way, since you are heavy on the writing with the books and the tutorials you have on your blogs and all the video blogs tutorials as well you have on YouTube. So you are really like your journalist career was not wasted. You are actually using it fully, but just for yourself now instead. So
exactly.
It's funny how your career path is usually not a straight arrow or like a straight road, but things happens for a reason maybe, and you ended up here. So
yeah,
but you said
true.
You had a couple of courses. You didn't have like a sewing education per se, but you have taken some courses, right? Like evening courses.
Yes, I've taken courses. Yes, evening courses primarily, and what you call like distance courses on to the Borås Textile University as well, where I think you have been as well. So I've done some things, but I felt maybe I should sometimes I feel like I should maybe take a sewing course. If I do take a sewing course now, it would definitely be in tailoring, because that's an area where I don't have the skills. But it's also really hard to learn modern sewing in a sewing class, because usually the teachers teaching are more beginner friendly, and I am way past that level now after 40+ years. So it hasn't really been as enticing for me to take an in-person sewing course like that. But of course I always try to keep I prowl the internet for useful information. Of course, I always try to keep learning. And I should also say, before I wrote sewing books, I back in the early I think 2000s, I wrote books about how to use the internet. A best-selling book in Sweden, actually. Several editions. So I have experience in teaching people how to use things, but it was a very different time back then when you had a thick paperback with instructions. And maybe we joked about this before the record. Maybe people will need to actually relearn some of the things.
How to behave on the internet and be critical to what information AI is giving you, and we might need an updated version of, maybe not a paperback anymore, but actually a PDF document on how to navigate internet today.
Yes, and back then it was a lot about encouraging people how to use the internet, and now it's more talk about how to stop using the internet as much and going on digital detoxes. And that was not because back then, it was especially Sweden, we were very early on in having good access to internet, and it was in schools and things like that. So I would say I think we're a pretty savvy nation in terms of that, but I think now maybe some people feel it's gone too far. So how to quit the internet?
Yeah, but also, I mean, this is completely side note, but like, yeah, we are both from a generation. I mean, I'm ish 10 years younger, but I still also I grew up without the internet, so I had to learn it when I was young. But kids today, I mean, it's a completely different story. But
it feels like we were born in the Stone Ages. Yeah.
Last different century from today.
And that has also been very helpful. I've always been very technical and very technically savvy, and I've always been like the support person in all my day jobs and things like that. So that's why I've been able to, like, I'm also the webmaster of the Last Stitch. I also run my own Shopify, e-commerce, all the stuff. I can do some coding because I learned that actually in librarian school. Who would have known? Because they knew it would come. Yeah, in the mid-90s. Yeah. So that has also been a benefit, that I would say that I am way above average when it comes to technical stuff. I will say that. I'm trying not to be too modest
100%.
here, but yeah.
I mean, you are way above me on those kind of things. I mean, I have made my own website as well, which I'm very proud of that I was able to do. But that is a drag and drop website setup situation. Like code, no, I'm out of here. Like, you lost me. And like editing videos and stuff, I barely can even edit a reel on Instagram. Like, I don't have the patience for it, and to get into how, like, no. So no, you are definitely more tech savvy compared to me, and I wouldn't say like I'm maybe average. I
think you're pretty good at tech stuff, but I don't think you don't have the same interest as I do. I think you're a little bit like, oh, do I have to? And you're like, because we usually joke about this behind the scenes. We're like, where is our support team? Where is the tech department? It's like, it's pointing at us. And we're like, oh.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. All right. Oh, enough about me then. Now I'm going to put on my old journalist hat and ask you, Malena, tell us more about you and your backstory and why you ended up here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm originally from Finland, actually, but I'm a Swedish-speaking Finn, so I always have spoken Swedish, as it always has been my first language. And I always have been very interested in like practical stuff. Like, I also started sewing clothes when I was very young. I always had it as a hobby. We had it in school as well. I mean, I don't know what to call it, not home economics, but yeah, we had it regularly in school when I grew up. So that's where I learned sewing. And still today, like, I remember things that my teacher have told me, and I'm using that information today. So it was really, I'm really happy about that level of like knowledge that you got back in the days. No idea how it is today with today's kids, but yeah, I always had making stuff as an interest. I wasn't so interested in fashion and trends and that area. I was more interested in how to make the actual garment, like more the technical stuff. So when I started, when I applied for school and started studying, a friend of mine, classmate, just asked, like, where are you going? Like, yeah, I'm gonna study fashion design. And the puzzled look she had on her face, and I was like, yeah, sewing garment. I had to explain, like, why are you, like, she couldn't figure out, like, how you, like, it wasn't like in a rude way, but just like, I never had the fashion interest. But I loved making clothes and like how to construct, how to do it. So I'm actually really happy that the school that I went to was like 4 years. I ended up being 4.5 years because I was also an exchange student in Borås and did internships abroad, and so it took a little bit longer time. But you could actually try a little bit different things during that time as well, because I hadn't figured out like where in the fashion business what do I want to do. I knew that I didn't want to become a seamstress sitting at home in a small atelier working by myself, not getting paid enough, not being able to charge people enough because it is private people, like persons that have to pay me. Like I knew like that's not the way to go. I want to be in the apparel industry, like in the bigger context, basically. So it was actually like the third, fourth year something that I realized that pattern maker, that's a specific role. It's not the designer that needs to be like creative, out of the box, or like knowing what's the next trend. I knew like not for me. And sewing, I don't want to do that full time. But pattern making, that was like, oh, hello. It was like the technical aspects of it, still creative, because I mean the designer is just giving you the sketch, the idea, the how should it look, but it's up to me how to get there and how to create the patterns. And so when that fell into place, I was like, that's the thing that that's the thing that I want to do. Basically after school I started instantly working as an assistant, pattern maker assistant at the H&M, and I was within the H&M group for almost 10 years. Had a little bit, were at different departments, became a pattern maker then after a few years. I also been in Shanghai working at the global office there, working closer to production. So interested in production. I love visiting different suppliers in different countries. It's just I love being on the floor where things are actually happening. So I'm more technical like there. That would have been a dream job to actually work at the suppliers as well. That someday maybe in the future I will do something like that. But then what is it, 7 years ish ago we moved from Stockholm. I had to resign because I mean you can't work on a distance, like you couldn't be employed on a distance. And so 7 years I've been working as a freelancer now, a pattern maker, mostly towards H&M or similar other brands as well. And you know the struggle of what to do, how to like the secure. I love routines, security. I am not like the person who wanted to start my own company ever. So it's like what to do if I don't have a job. And then when I was actually my sisters who were like, hey, did you know that there's a thing called PDF patterns? Like they are hardcore knitters, so they knew all about that world. And they were like, yeah, we have that in the knitting world. I think there's in the sewing world as well. Completely missed it, because when I started working with sewing, I kind of lost it as a hobby. Like it was enough for me to, you know, work with clothes on the day job. I didn't need to sew my own clothes in the evening as well, too much. So yeah, the home sewing community had evolved a lot since I was sewing for myself.
Yes, speaking about the internet, hello. I grew up with Burda, or another magazine as well in Finland. That was basically where you got your patterns from. And then when you study, of course, I mean, then you made your own blocks and use that. But the home sewing PDF world, and now with projectors and everything, like completely missed. I had no idea. I was clueless. So it has been really fun to fall into that rabbit hole and just like, it's big. It's it's huge. Yeah.
So
it's huge and very global as well. It's like it's so interconnected all over the world. It's
and the things that it's so funny also. Like I always thought that you don't have seam allowance on your patterns, like that you add yourself, because I grew up with Burda. And then I was like, oh, you can actually add seam allowance to the pattern, so it's just a cut. Didn't know. That was a thing as well in the sewing community. So it's like those things that you have you think it is like this, but then the internet like, okay, yeah, but in Australia this is the common practice, or in US this is the common practice. It's just so fun to learn like how different things have evolved, and now I think everything is like starting to integrate a little bit more. Like you take the bits and pieces, the best practice from everything, and mush it into one. So but yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Yeah.
And
it's such a great story.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that I met you through Love to Sew podcast. I heard they did an interview with you many years ago, and was like, I need to contact her. Oh my god, there's someone in Sweden as well. I mean, there are lots of people in Sweden who make their own PDF patterns today, but I didn't know. But yeah, you were the first Swede who I knew about. So it's like, okay, I gotta contact her, and yeah. Now we have book later and podcast ongoing.
Yes, and I think it was because I released the Sewing Activewear book in 2017, late 2017. I think I was on Love to Sew 2018. I suspect there must be somewhere around there when you contact me and you email me, and you were having running a sewing course, right? I think sewing with knits course or something like that as well. Yeah, because I remember that, and so it's pretty amazing that we've probably known each other now for about eight years or so. And it's a funny thing that we ended up getting to know each other through a Canadian podcast.
I mean, that's what are the odds?
Yeah, it's so because that's so interesting. It's very because we have different perspectives. Because I kind of skimmed over this, but as I mentioned previously, I've been an avid online participant since 1996, because that 95 I think I was getting access to the World Wide Web, and I've been hooked ever since. But I also very early on began participating in sewing news groups, and then patternreview.com, which was one of the most early so even as early, I think around the early 2000s, I think old schoolers would remember this. It started to actually, even before the blogs. So I was kind of watching it from the start. So it's very interesting because you and I have like different perspectives, because I feel like it was such a gradual thing because I saw it all happening.
You were part of it from the beginning.
Yeah, I was part of it, and I have photos from like 2003 of me in my outfits posted online on like in sewing communities and on Flickr and everything like that. So I was definitely like part of the original gang, and it's so fascinating because it kind of started like there that people were sharing their experience with Pattern Review. If you're not familiar with it, it's a massive website that has so much resources now, but then back then, as the name says, it was a lot about reviewing patterns. So for instance, if you wanted to make a border pattern, you could just search their database and you could see other people have done it, pluses and minus and fit and everything like that. So that's what I started to do, contributing to that knowledge base. I was reviewing all my patterns, and that's also was so nice back then because we weren't too many, so we kind of connected on a personal level with people in a way. Today with Instagram, I've totally lost the plot. There are so many people now, but back then it felt like it was like a little tiny village of enthusiasts. So you knew a lot of people by first name, and maybe you chatted with them. And I also have met a few in real life when I've traveled, or they have traveled to Sweden. So it was just such a different thing. And then, if I'm getting my sewing history right here, in the mid, I think Burda Style, the US one, was the one that kind of popularized the digital PDF pattern thing. They were the one, there were a couple of others as well, but they were the one that made it really simple to print at home. And I think that was in the mid 2000s, and that was a big revelation, that we could be able to print out patterns on a paper and glue them together. And then what happened was that some of the bloggers that had become really prolific and popular, some of those also started to release their own sewing patterns, and that was around 2010ish. And it's funny because and the first indie sewing pattern started like 2007, 2008, but it's funny because back then I was sewing clothes and selling them on Etsy. And I had several people from the sewing community say, "We love those styles. Why don't you make them into patterns instead?" And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like fast forward 10 years. And I'm like, started to release PDF patterns because I was late to the game, even though I was an early adapter of both using PDF patterns and participate in the online community. So but it's very interesting because when you came into it, it was like it had become like in quotation massive movement. I mean, it must have been so like this parallel universe that you just fell into, and was like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, we don't talk about this in the industry, in the fashion industry. I mean, it's a completely separate thing. And I remember it's like, okay, I'm gonna start making my own PDF patterns, and I go to the fold lines and scrolled down on all, like the list on all designers, and I was like, I did I miss the train? Like, is this market already too saturated? Because I mean, the list was so long. It was really daunting. Like, damn, is there even a point of trying? But yeah, it's that was a couple of years ago, and I remember my husband was like, yeah, but you're always gonna have competitions, like regardless of what you do, they're always gonna be competition. And I was like, okay, yeah, true. You're never gonna be alone on it. So, but yeah, it's so funny. It's like, but how, like, completely missed it. Completely missed the movement. Completely. So I feel like I still haven't really catched up on everything that has happened. But I am on the project train already. So I'm not.
You are, and you were
list.
pretty 100%, and you were the one that got me on the project train as well, because I was kind of hesitant. I mean, just because it means so much more work. I mean, it wasn't that much work, to be honest, but it just meant having to learn a new thing. And I was like, I don't. But yeah, it is also developing so quickly, because back then, in the beginning, you created patterns that were compatible to both A4 and letter. So regardless of what kind of pattern format, paper format you were using for your printer, you would be able to print out the same pattern, and then you just tape them together. And then people started to send maybe the patterns to like big format printers or copy shops. So you have to start also creating full scales patterns, so you can print those out in a copy shop. And I should also mention that back in the days when Burda style kind of, might get my history wrong here, maybe I'm sure there's someone else, but they basically popularized this particular method that we're still using today, pretty much the exact same method. But back then there were no layers in the PDF program, so you had all the sizes on one single flat layer. And so that was one of the like early things that happened, that you were able to put different sizes in different layers. And then of course now we have the next step, which is projector files, and who knows where we will be in 5 or 10 years, because I would never imagine that we would now use a movie projector to cut out pattern pieces on a piece of fabric. Like, didn't see that coming.
I'm so curious. What is the next thing that's gonna change things? It's fascinating, and it's gonna be interesting to see, because it's so much fun. Also, when a lot of people do it, and a lot of small companies are doing it, because then things can happen really quickly, and people can be really creative. Bigger brands maybe have a tendency to move a little bit slower, and but small brands, they can act on an instance. So it's going to be fun interesting to see if there are going to be any new revolutions besides after the projector files.
Yeah, and it probably will. And because briefly mentioned about talk about AI and things like that. Who knows where we will stand in that as well? Maybe we will all get into like some type of AI software that we do the designs, and then proprietary designs, perhaps, if that's a possibility. And then as a client, your consumer, you add your own measurements, and then you get the exact custom draft of the styles that we have designed, for instance. So, and then we pay like a fee to that AI company. But it's a long way before that's happening. And also, to me, that I would find that worrisome with quality assurance, because now that when we draft our own patterns, we can make sure that the drafting is correct and everything looks good in all the different sizes. But if we would have to leave that to AI. Whew, it's gonna be scary. It's like the self-driving cars, but it's a big confident step to take. But I'm just guessing here. But I can see even more customization. My guess is we're gonna have services that will allow us to customize the patterns even more in the future. But that was also, I should say, there was actually, it's going to be, there has been, and I actually bought a software back in, again, the early 2000s. It was from, I hope a lot of older people are listening now. It was from a pattern company called Wild Ginger, Wild Ginger, yeah. So they basically had like a layman's pattern making program where you filled in all your so you bought a CD and then you installed it on your, that was a long time ago, and then you inserted your measurements, and then you said, I want to have like a regular shirt or shirt with princess seams and things like that, and then it spit it out like a pattern with seam allowance, but then you had to do some tweaks, and sometimes it didn't work out quite well, and they had some drafting issues, some bugs. But overall, it was a very forward-thinking idea that I think there has been some other softwares as well, but I felt that kind of took a back seat because I thought that was the future 20 years ago. But we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, and I wonder if I can guess a little bit. Clo 3D. I mean, that's now a pretty common program in the apparel business. It's you can make patterns in it. You can grade. It's not as good as the regular pattern making programs, but the thing with the Clo is that you can try on the garments on an avatar, and that avatar you can of course personalize according to your body as well. So I think that could be bigger in the future for the home sewing world as well, because I mean it's so convenient to be able to, I mean, of course you can't really get the posture and everything correct. Maybe in the future we will be able to scan your body and have it as an avatar, but still you can be pretty specific with length and measurements and everything, and get a pretty good avatar, I would say, in the Clo. And then you have like different fabrics and everything in the programs, so you can really try and play around with the design and fit and everything in it. So maybe that's like I'm thinking out loud now. Maybe that's a thing that you shouldn't just sell your pattern as PDFs or projector files, but actually as Clo files as well. So
clever.
A person could open up the pattern in that program and have it as a base point to create your own program. Of course, you need to have a little bit more knowledge maybe than in pattern construction, but still, I mean, do basic adjustments or things, since you get a instant view of how is the fitting when you try it on the avatar. So maybe I can be an early bird on here.
Remember, people, where you heard this first. January 2026, we're going to date this episode because Malena said something that I can 100% say is going to happen. Maybe you're going to be the first on this one.
Yeah, who knows?
Late, yeah, who knows? Like, don't tell anyone. But we just told all the listeners.
With this program compared to other pattern makers program is it is pretty easy to learn, I would say. It is, if you have any like background in like Illustrator or a similar CAD program, it is pretty, there are great courses, great tutorials on YouTube as well, so you can learn it yourself as well. And it's pretty affordable. It's like, if you subscribe to it, it's like $50 a month. So it's not, I mean, it is money, but it's not like extravagant, expensive. So if you do it for like just a month or two or something, So yeah, I think something like that can be a big hit in the home sewing world as well.
Yeah, exactly. And of course then you can stack on like video tutorials on how to do the specific adjustments for the patterns, and of course then you can charge a different price, and I guess if it becomes common, and also I know, I mean, a lot of people are curious about, you know, leveling up their pattern making skills and going more into digital. So I'm also sure that there is a group of hobby sewists that will be interested in learning the program and trying to themselves also start to create designs and like patterns for your specific body. Interesting, yeah. You just came up with a new business idea. Oh, so many ideas, so little time. And speaking of time,
so true.
I also want us to answer some rapid fire questions. And speaking of modern technology, of course, I asked my friend AI to suggest some good questions, both sewing related and personal related. Some of them were rubbish, but some of them were actually pretty good. So, are you ready, Malena? I'm going to start. We're going to answer both of those, of course. Okay? We're going to start with a quick sewing question. Are you a planner or a wing it sewist?
My spontaneous would say wing it. Because I'm a professional, I can figure it out as I go. But in my head, I have usually thought about all the different steps, and I like constructed it or like made sure that I do the steps in the right way. So, you know, you press in the correct way, or like some things or in a few cases, like the order does matter. So I am a little bit more planner person, actually. What about you?
Yeah, I think I began being a wing it sewist back when I was like a courageous teenager, and but I've also made so many mistakes that way. So the more I've sewed, the more I'm a planner type of person I've been, and now I even find myself making bullet lists of all the steps sometimes, so I do it in the correct order and not forget something, because sometimes it's a little bit difficult to remember because you get overly confident about all the things you think you know, and then you forget about stuff and accidents happen. So yeah, I'm definitely a planner in that way. And I also love to like thinking about garments and like, you know, what's the right fabric and things like. Yeah, I enjoy the planning process. Sometimes it's just as fun as the sewing part, I think.
Yeah, totally understand that. So the next one, where do you usually sew, and what does it look like right now?
Ooh, yes, I have for the first time ever a dedicated sewing space where you can close the door and no one else shares that space. Whoa! Yes.
Lovely.
At the ripe age of 53, I was finally able to do that. And of course, I have to pay for it. So I don't have a sewing machine in my small apartment anymore. Instead, I have a studio. And I used to have, where I'm recording the podcast now, we can see behind me, it's a shared studio where I have space that I share with my friend Oscar. But now I have also rented a second sewing room where I just sew and store fabrics and have all the tools. And it's so nice because now I feel I can really get into the world. There's not any other things distracting me, or I don't have to clean up because someone else is going to use the space, because before that I sew in the living room when I was sewing at home. So love it. I just wish I was able to be there more, but again, the reality of running a sewing business is that you spend 99% of your working time in front of the computer, just like a lot of other people do these days.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And what about your space? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this fall, was it this fall? I've actually moved my sewing space to a bridal store that they are located here on the street that I live. It's just like 5-minute walk from our house. So I now I have my sewing machine, everything set up there. They also have had an like in-house seamstress who was working there. She's on a maternity leave now, so now I'm able to use that space as well. But I have so all my sewing stuff is over there, but I do have a home office because, as you said, 99% is computer computer work, and especially when I do my freelance work, I work from home. So all my computers and stuff like that is at home, but I have all the sewing equipment in my studio. So it's that's also why like. You can't. It doesn't really happen that I sew for fun in the evenings because then I would have to leave my home and yeah. So it's pro and con to have like a designated space for it. But yeah, I don't have to clean away the stuff either. So so nice when you can just like leave it on the table, go away, and then come back, continue working.
Yeah. That's the best feeling. But I agree with you. Sometimes I miss it because I just have a 5 minutes walk, and I think you're also pretty close to your sewing studio. But there is an extra layer of, resistance when you have to go up, especially now in the winter time. You don't go there and
sew for 10 minutes a seam or something.
No. Yeah. All right. Next question. Fabric you keep on buying even though you don't need any more fabric. Do you have one of those, or?
Yeah, I mean, jersey, single jersey fabrics, regular t-shirt fabrics. I mean, it's just whenever you find a good quality, good color that you like, or good stripe or print or whatever. I have a tendency to buy it when it's on sale. I usually like solid colors are always in stock, so then I don't like buy them because I know they are available at any time. But if there is any good quality on sale, I can't resist it. Not maybe for myself to wear, but to make samples in the future. It's so good to have a stash of fabric that you can just use. But I definitely have enough. I don't need more. What about you?
Yeah, I have an addiction, and that is to buy lightweight, summery fabrics with beautiful prints. And as we mentioned previously, we live in Sweden. Summers, not always that warm, not always that sunny. So I don't actually feel very inspired to sew them up in the summer because I already have a few, and I usually feel right now, because we're recording this in January, as I mentioned, I just want to have winter warm clothes. I just want to have wool. So there's this asymmetrical relation between the amount of summer fabrics I have and the amount of summer garments that I actually wear, and I have plenty of those already sewn in my wardrobe. I don't need any more lightweight blouses or skirts. I mean, they're pretty, but I'm well covered considering how few days I can actually wear them without being super cold.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. But again, it goes back to if you sew for fun, what do you want to sew? Do you want to sew everyday wear, or do you want to sew the eye candy, pretty garments? So it's not a bad thing to have to go for those fancy fabrics.
Very true, and it makes you happy. And I also really am happy sometimes when I look through my stash and I see all those beautiful prints and colors, and it reminds me of a lifestyle I don't really have, but it's nice to dream.
It gives you joy in another way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so next question. Sewing task you would happily never do again. Do you have anything?
If I don't have to ever sew another buttonhole in my entire life, I wouldn't complain. If I can get either an automatic, I do have automatic buttons on my sewing machine, but I mean it doesn't work for everything, and I always get a low level burst of anxiety every time. And sometimes you have to make bound buttonholes, or I've even sewn some hand-sewn buttonholes because nothing else worked. And no, I mean, honestly, I never ever look forward to it. It kind of brings out stress rather than joy. So if I had a choice, I would have something or maybe someone else to do it in the future. And what about you?
Yeah, I didn't even think about buttonholes, but yeah, that would definitely be a top of my list. No, my thing is when you attach rib attachment or neckline attachment, and then you want to stitch down the seam allowance, so it stays in place. That seam, it's just, you finally made the neckline, it looks nice, and you don't want to add the seam because it might destroy it. And I'm also not super happy with my cover lock machine, because when you sew, especially at the shoulder, it is so many layers that you need to, it's such a hump to get over. And it's just, every time I sew that, it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky. So that one could magically appear because it serves a purpose. It's not just a decorative stitch. It holds the neckline, the seam allowance in place, and doesn't after wash falls out or anything. So I do like it, but I hate to sew it. Even worse than hemming, and that says a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you with this, but I didn't think about that. But yeah, speaking about low-level anxiety, because yes, it will go wrong sometimes, and you might end up with skip stitches or uneven feeding because of the thick layers, and you're like, I know I'm in for some trouble. I hope it was worth it. That's where you kind of like go, and then there's like no turning back. Yeah, and it's the same with buttonholes as well. I mean, the buttonholes are messed up. Then you're like, okay, that's because you can't really because you can't really like unrip like a dense buttonhole. It's going to ruin the fabric as well. So scary stuff. Let's invent something.
Let's move on. Yeah.
I get traumatized by talking about this. All right, on to the more personal questions now. So, Malena, are you an early bird or a night owl?
That's the thing. I don't know. I think I'm a little bit both. I can have really trouble sleeping, but I don't stay up late. I try not to, because otherwise I would never end up in bed. And I do have pretty easy to get up in the morning. So I would definitely say I'm more early bird compared to a night owl. I have some friends that like could stay up all night sewing. I'm like, how do you do that? I mean, I can stay up late, but I'm not like a functioning smart person after 8 o'clock. Then I'm just like, sofa, Netflixing, binging TV. So I'm not productive in that late. What about you?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely an early bird. And I think I've got more like that by age as well. I try to think about, because they say that it's pretty genetical if you have your peak hours late in the evening or early in the morning. But I will say that I was more prone to stay up late and being like functional. But now, not so much. I definitely have to front load my more demanding tasks in the morning. Because in the evening, as you say, I've sewn up to like 2 o'clock in the night. It's been an absolute disaster every time. I've made so many mistakes. I mean, you could think I'd never sewn anything before. So I try to be more disciplined about that as well. And also, if I do get a burst of energy in the evening, unfortunately, I also have problems sleeping then because my brain is too active. So I normally wake up without an alarm around 6:30 in the mornings, and I'm usually at bed around 9:30 to 10. So yeah, definitely an early bird, for sure.
Good. Next one. Last TV show you watched, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, because me and my boyfriend, we jumped onto Stranger Things just as it was about to end. So we were blessed to be able to binge watch all 5 seasons in a month. So we spent the entire December and now early January watching the show. And the reason why I kind of held it off was I'm not usually a fan of like supernatural stuff, and I don't like horror movies. I knew I was gonna like it because it's basically the time is when the characters have the same age as I was, so it's basically just revisiting your own childhood with everything from music to all the clothing and all the other reference. So it's in the early 80s. So so I knew I would like that, but I was positively surprised. Several friends had told me that it was a good show, and I mean, of course, it has some uneven episodes and seasons, but overall, I think it was definitely worthwhile watch. And tomorrow we're actually gonna, me and my boyfriend are gonna watch the documentary because they just released a 2-hour documentary. So we're gonna spend 2 more hours just to learn how they filmed the latest season of Stranger Things. So now I guess we are basically officially fans. Yep.
Yeah,
and what about you?
I saw the first season. I didn't. It wasn't my cup of tea, so I didn't continue on it. But oh my God, it has been so much talk about that show lately. So yeah, but no. I have. I've gone down a rabbit hole that it's hard to get out of. I opened the Pandora's box, and I mean, before I used to watch more like not advanced series, but I really love like Game of Thrones and like those kind of like big TV shows or series. Now I'm into more easily digestive. I don't have to think that much. I don't have to keep track of things. I can just shut off my brain and just consume, and I don't have to think at all. So I'm either into like kind of feel good or reality TV. And the latest one that I have dived into is The Real Housewives.
Oh, you haven't watched that before?
No, I haven't.
Which one? Because I'm a real reality TV. We haven't really talked about that, and we do have a common interest, yes. So which cities are you watching?
Well, I have. This is all so frustrating. With like Netflix, for example, they have 2 different cities like Beverly Hills and Salt Lake City, but they just have 1 season. I mean, why don't you have? You need to have all the seasons if you're gonna have it, or just the latest. But then it was like a couple of seasons ago they had. So weird. Anyway, I found other places where I could watch it. So Salt Lake City, I watched 1 season, and now I realized that I have 5 seasons left to see. And on the Beverly Hills, I didn't. Usually I'm like, you need to start at 1 and then go in order, and you can't miss a single season. But there was like, it is 25 something seasons. So I was like, okay, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I started at, I don't know, season 20 or something. I've watched a couple of seasons on that now, and it's just
it's insane.
Yeah, it is. I'm good.
I'm good are
for
insane.
I don't need because I hate that feeling. Like I just want to sit down on my couch. I don't want to think. What do I want to watch? It's like, no, you just press play, continue where you ended, and when a season or a series is ended, it's like you get that void. Like, what am I gonna continue with now? What am I gonna watch? It's such a commitment. Now I'm like, no, I think I have a gazillion seasons to watch on all the different Real Housewives.
All the different cities.
All the different cities.
Exactly.
I'm good. I can binge watch in 10 years, and I don't think I will watch everything yet. So, no, I love it. It's it's my guilty pleasure.
Yes. So good. And you probably already know that, but the channel to subscribe to is Hayu, HAU, because they have all the Bravo stuff, which are the housewives. So you're speaking to a pro now. I used to watch all the Real Housewives. I started with the Orange County and the Beverly Hills one, which were back in the days. and I love New York, and I also watched a fair bit of Atlanta. I watched the first season of Salt Lake City, which was like, I mean, that was insane with the Yen Shaw, and there were so many. Also, there were so many criminals. It was real. I'm like, why? You guys are crazy. I mean, sometimes the real life stories are even more crazy than the things you see on TV. But I totally get it. It's addictive to watch reality TV. You're definitely not alone in that. I'm sure a lot of the people that are watching and listening also have one of those, and there's so many now. I mean, there's also The Secret Life of Mormon's Wives, which is also like a similar thing, but another production company.
Check on that. Yes, Below Deck is also a favorite of mine. I think I've seen all the different, what do you say, spin-offs, or like I'm up to date there.
Oh, those are a million.
Yeah, so I'm like constantly like on a good level. I don't like Bachelor, not my thing at all. I do like Hell's Kitchen and all that, like competitions, reality competitions, or like anything so
Project
related,
Runway,
Project Runways. So yeah, it's there are a lot of things still to watch.
Yeah, and there's new coming all the time.
Project Runway. I hope they're gonna release some new seasons soon, or maybe I missed it.
I thought the latest season was. No, I think because I watched the latest season after you and we did an episode when we were fantasy competitors on Project Runway. So I watched the latest season. I thought it was pretty good with Kristen Serrano, and we can do the entire episode about reality TV, and I think I'm going to talk more about it in another question here.
No, but the fun thing also, I mean, circling back to what we do. They do have, I mean, extravaganza clothes, and it's, I mean, the fashion there is just, it also visually so interesting to see what they're wearing, and the
hair,
honest, it's visually very, nice to see. But I can't get over like all these like high-end Chanel, Balenciaga, I mean Fendi, all of these. Do you have to have a visible logo with the name like screaming? Like, is that a must? Because otherwise people don't know where it's from, so people don't know how much you spent on that. It's just a little too much for me. Like, subtle, come on. Subtle luxury is more my cup of tea. I don't... The big logos all over. It's it's a little bit too
but it's kind of I don't they don't want too tasteful cast. They want the cast to be like flamboyant and out there. So I think they're also looking for the people that exactly in the. I think the updated version of the New York Housewives, they changed it a little bit now, so that now there are like proper fashion people on it, so it's a different vibe than compared to the other ones. And New Jersey, oh my god, oh yeah. But anyways, we're gonna do a separate episode because I think we've talked about an hour now. Sorry, people, we went sideways. But I think so. We're going to finish off with this question now, which kind of aligns with that other question about the TV show. And that is favorite small luxury. Do you have a small luxury?
Ooh. No, but it is actually circling back. I really... Before, I mean, I could hustle. I could work like hours and hours and hours to get things done. But today, no, I really need to, like, burnout is a fact. Anyone can, if you push yourself hard enough, you can burn out. So my luxury is actually, it's like, no, I'm not going to be productive in the evenings. Not gonna do it. I'm gonna sit and watch my reality TVs and enjoy it and not feeling guilty about it or anything, or like you could advance, you could do like when I hear like small businesses, I mean, that has become big, they work so hard, and like, yeah, when I put my kids to bed and then continue working after that, do all the nights and evenings, it's like, no, not gonna do it. I'm gonna take that time, luxury, and just be relaxing in the evenings. That's my real luxury, to be able to take that time and feel like I don't have to, like, I could be going so much faster if I did that, but I would also burn out. So no, not gonna do that.
That's such a beautiful luxury, and something I definitely need to be mindful of as well. I mean, what a beautiful thing to because sometimes the biggest luxury is actually to take care of yourself and make sure that you are doing well. That's very, very true, and that's not always a luxury that we afford ourselves, even though it's actually free.
Yeah, no, and I think I've come to that stage now. It's like, but you have the choice now to either like push harder or no, be happy with what you got. So I am definitely I need to take care. I need to take my time as well. What about you? What do you do?
Yeah, mine is more materialistic. Just top of mind, I came to think about two things. One is that I am crazy for candles. That feels to me a little bit wasteful, because I spend sometimes in the evenings, especially if I'm like watching a movie with my boyfriend, I have like 5 what do you call it, where you put candles, the holders where you put the candles in. I have like 5 holy candle holders, right? Exactly. So I have like 5 candle holders on my living room table with candles in, and then I also have scented candles. So yeah, I don't buy I will say most of them smell awful, but my great tip here for everyone's listening: HM Home, their smelling candles, especially the basilicum and the hazy oud, and sometimes some also like the session fig. They cost like $5, and they smell delicious. They smell like so much more, and that feels. I try to think about the environment, and this is shameful because I think this is actually horrible for the environment. But I can't keep myself from getting that nice smell in the evening with all those candles. So for me, it's definitely a luxury and not a necessary item, but it just brings me so much joy, and what the Danish people say when they say hygge, like hygge house, like that cozy vibe. I really like, especially now in the darker season. I spend way too much money on candles, and I also have a cat, so I have to be very mindful.
Well, I think my husband would be 100% on your team on this one. Here with 2 kids, and I don't really trust my husband with flame. Like, you can't leave a burning candle. Like, you can't. So no, it's not real. Sometimes it's allowed here in the during Christmas, but otherwise no. But it's more a safety measure. You, in your situation, no problems. I don't trust my husband. I don't trust my kids with them. So no. It's a big no for me. I don't have anything against it. Otherwise, I mean, it's the best like mood setter. I 100% understand and agree with you there. And you are allowed to have a luxury thing in your life. Absolutely. Yeah, and I guess it only both your luxury item and mine kind of ties together. It's basically creating a tranquil space both outside and inside, and how important that is for our well-being, I guess. So good. So this was a really fun episode, and I also learned new things about you, that you were also a reality addict. Oh, we can go deep on that one. Oh my god.
We can go deep on that. Oh, I'm like, we open a can of worms. Unsubscribe.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh yes. Well, that could be a completely different podcast series.
100%. But this was such a fun episode, and I hope that if you listened all this far, that you enjoyed learning some more and new and sometimes unexpected things about us and why we do this podcast. So thank you so much for listening, and also, if you want, please review us over at Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, because we definitely want to get this podcast growing, reality TV or not. We definitely think that we can reach a bigger audience. So if you would like, we would be super grateful if you want to spread the word about our podcasters.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I am Johanna Lundström.
And I am Malena Järpen. Bye bye.
Bye bye.